everyone. Today is another episode of Golda's Girls, and our special guest today is David Rahimi. He lives in the northern of Israel, is born in Persia, Iran, and came as a 4-year-old boy to Israel. He lived his entire childhood there and went into the army. He is now a retired lieutenant. Came to the Netherlands, where he got his MBI and MBA in Erasmus University in Rotterdam. And I met him in the synagogue in The Hague one day, and he became my husband, and this is our daughter. In the meantime, David has had many different businesses. He's very successful in finding all kinds of things, and he makes them successful. And his last endeavor was becoming a tour guide in Israel because of his extensive knowledge of the history and the geography of the country. So he is a very interesting and very appreciated tour guide, but because of the situation today, there are no tourists coming to Israel, unfortunately. But we love to hear from him today about the history of Jerusalem, which is very rich, and a lot of it is pretty unknown, but very crucial also for the problems that are today. So I want to introduce also my co-host for today, who is our eldest child, Liora, and it's just a fun combination to do this. So I'm really excited you're here, David, with all the technical issues we went through before. So please start, and you talk as much as you would like to.
Okay, thank you for having me. I will start with Conquering Jerusalem by King David.
But here's
Saul conquering Jerusalem was in exactly 3,028 years back, in the year 1004 before Christ. 1004 before Christ. So King David is conquering Jerusalem, and at that time, the Jebusites have been the city owners, or the city, they've been living there. And one should remember that at that time, cities have been much more smaller than today. And there was all the time issue of water and land. So if a group of people had to survive, they had to make sure that they have enough water, enough land, and a place where they could hide themselves behind walls. And of course, they had to have a governing system. And Jerusalem started as a city, and around the city, the kingdom had its 12 tribes. Each tribe has its own territory. And basically, this was the start of Jerusalem. Slowly, more and more people came to Jerusalem. And the gates had to be widened. So from the city of David, Jerusalem developed to the west and to the north, to the hills that were closer. The 12 tribes were Jews, not anything else. These were Jews. And if you hear Jews, it is from Judea. Judea was one of the tribes, and King David was from this tribe. There were no Arabs whatsoever.
Where did they live? Where were the Arabs living?
Between the river, the Jordan River, to the sea, there were no Arabs. The name Arab These were tribes that were on the east side of the Jordan River. There is no one trace that could even suggest or proclaim that they were on the west side of the river.
And the east side is like where Jordan is and Syria and all that, right?
Exactly. There have been Arab tribes. They've been existing, but not between the Jordan River to the sea.
Do they come from the Arabian Peninsula?
They've been, at that time, those tribes were believing in lots of gods. They had their own tribal behavior, the way it is up to this very moment. So if somebody proclaimed that we are Palestinians and we've been here, it is just one big, it is out of any sense of any record. And I did explain, there have been Arabic tribes on the east side of the Jordan River. Now, there have been different paganic people, and they are from the north side of Israel of today, northeast side Syria, on the east side, on the south side, and of course each one of them, they were after having sources of water and land. Now, one should understand the following thing. Israel is kind of a corridor between Africa and Asia, between Europe and Asia, between Europe and Africa. So whoever wanted to pass, to have influence, to have control over resources that have been necessary for them, or they wanted to conquer another empire, and there such a cases happen in the history, they had to pass through whatever now is the land of Israel. So I hope that I gave you an understanding about the start of Jerusalem. Any claim that they had, once I say they, Palestinians of Arabs, any relationship to this area is a fairy tale. No coin, no stones, no pergament, no piece of pottery, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So those guys that are in the street today of the main cities of the world that are chanting and showing their affinity to all kind of universal ideas of supporting them because they have been there, the indigenous people, it is just funny to hear it, unjust to the history. And I can say to myself that these are ignorant, naive, young people that are detached from the reality.
Yeah.
In the days of the son of David, Solomon, the empire grew. It was the kingdom grew, and the son of Samuel got the kingdom, and he was not clever enough to run it properly, if I may say so. He put a lot of taxes on the tribes, on the 12 tribes, and then the kingdom was split to two. The north 10 tribes and the 2 south tribes. So Judea and Benjamin remained around Jerusalem, and there was the kingdom of Shomron, and the 10 tribes were related to it. So the land was split to 2. And at time, those two Jewish countries cooperating with each other, and at time they had frictions between them. In the year 586, the first temple is being destroyed by the Babylonians, and the Jews are being expelled. It was a common doing at that time. So 586, the Babylonians ruled Judea, and in 538, the Persians, they took over the Babylonians. They practically allowed the Jews to return back. There are two leaders at that time. One of them is Ezra, and one of them is Nehemiah, and they are building a very simple temple. So this is the second temple. This temple is not as like the first temple was. The first temple was big, massive, rich, but it was plundered by the Babylonians.
By the Babylonians, yeah.
If the Arabs are proclaiming that they are the sons of the Babylonians, it is another fairy tale.
Okay.
They proclaim that they are part of the Persians, it is one big laugh. If they proclaim that they are the Arabs are Arabs, they are in the Arabia. So to proclaim that they are something else and they've been here, kind of a joke. The second temple is built, and then the second temple is being renewed. It was renewed later on in the days of the dynasty of the Hashmonaim. The Hashmonaim were Kohanim, priestess. And after that, Alexander Mukdon is taking over the Middle East. And again, also Alexander Mukdon, which came from Greece, he cannot be assumed as one of the ancestors of the Palestinians. And if somebody is claiming it, it is another joke. Now, later on, Israel is being, the land, this landmass is being controlled by the Greeks once they have their base in Syria. In the year 63, there is a situation where the Hashmonaim, their dynasty is coming to an end, and this was after many wars that they had against the Greek. So the kingdom, the Jewish kingdom, is coming to kind of a halt, and one of the kings at that time is asking the help of the Romans to get inside, to get into this area. And the dynasty is practically, this Hashmonaim dynasty in the year 67 is practically dismantled. And then Pompey, which was a Roman conqueror, he comes to this area. And Herods, the father of Herods, he had very good contacts with the Romans, and he is getting the rights to be the king of the Jews. The Jews didn't like him at all. The Jews didn't want him. He was not from the seed of David. So he enforced himself to be the king of the Jews. One of his ways was to take one of the princesses of the Hashmonaim, and he enforced himself on her. In a soft word, he took care of it that he would be her husband, and nobody could say anything. He was the king; he could do whatever he wanted. And for a duration of about 41 to 41 and a half years, Herods was the king. Now, we are talking now about a second temple, which was renewed in the days of the Hashmonaim. So this is practically the third temple, but it is assumed as a second temple. They renovated it. But still, it was too simple. So Herod goes to the Kohanim, and he's telling them, listen, let's make a deal. I'll build for you a super mega temple. And it took him at least 12 years to build the whole structure that you see today around the Temple Mount. It is a huge structure. By the way, this is the biggest structure ever made by humankind. It is about 485 meters long, and the width of it is about 285 meters. There is no bigger structure than that. Even not the Kremlin or the Pentagon or you name it. It is a huge structure. And if there is somebody there that wants to see it, welcome, I'll show you the thing. Okay? Up to that moment, there are no Arabs in the land of Israel. No one. No one.
And we speak about the year 2000 a little bit, right?
No.
I'm talking about 2024 years ago.
Around.
Jesus is there. He is a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. It is what it is.
And we know.
Okay. Now, he was a leader of a group of people that needed a care, compassion, a leader. There have been other leaders. He was a rabbi.
You see. Are that the Essenes?
Not yet. No. The Jews are practically, at the time of the Romans, they are enslaved to the empire. There have been many countries that were enslaved to them. They had to pay taxes, a lot of taxes. And there have been here also legions. Many legions have been in this area. Why? Because it is an interesting area. Egypt is rich. In the times of Jesus, there are 7 different groups of Jews. Some of them have connection with the Romans. These are the Kohanim. Then you have the Isiim. They didn't want to have nothing to do with the Romans. They were rebelling against them. And then there are the Prushim. And then there are Tzdukim. The nation was this fragmented, and they were under a lot of pressure. The pressure was merely economical pressure, and the fact that the Jews had to take on themselves obligations where they couldn't run their religion the way they wanted. Jerusalem is being destroyed in the year 70, and along 4 years before that, there is a big rebellion against the Romans. The Jews did anything and everything to gain their freedom. It didn't work. They didn't succeed. One of the reasons they were disfragmented into different groups, and they were fighting each other. Jerusalem is destroyed, and then the Jews have to find themselves in other places. They were expelled. Some went to Rome, some went to Cyprus, to Egypt, to Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, anywhere they could find a possibility for living. Many were murdered. I'm talking with you about hundreds of thousands of Jews. The Romans are taking this area, and Christianity started slowly, and it was taking shape and form. And in the year 324, officially, Christianity began to be the ruling religion of the place. The moment that the Romans are turning from being believers of Helios, the god of the sun, they are turning to be believers of one God, and they are turning to be Christians. Muhammad is born in the year 570. 570. Once he goes to a better world, his followers are creating the Caliphate, and then they are conquering the area of Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, Iraq, conquering also whatever is now Israel. This is the first time Arab ruling is here. And they go to Jerusalem and they build on the Temple Mount their mosque. Now you should understand the following thing. Islam is proclaiming a lot of things, that they are the last religion. They are practically coming to fix the Judaism, Christianity, and they are the rulers. And in order to show to themselves and the people around them that they have a say about the future of the people that are here, they have to have a new design of behavior. And by bullying, they take over the whole area of North Africa, Turkey, Greece, up to Austria, Yugoslavia, and they are taking also Morocco, Algeria, and Spain. In this process, about 10 million people are losing their life. The way that they did it was, or you turn to be a Muslim, or do you have to suffer from detaching your head from your shoulders. Simple as that. This was the way it was. And nobody can say anything about that it was different. Now, one would say that the Muslim faith has peace in it. Let them say it. Me as a Jew, before I was born, I have a faith. It's not being tolerated. I cannot live if I'm not like them. So by definition, the understanding that I should be dead if I do not take the religion, it is in my eyes a sickening path. Really, bullying was part of the path of this religion to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And whatever you see today in the universities, it is bullying, performing narratives which are without any historical base. Yeah. About the Jews and the moment that they've been expelled. The majority of the Jews were not living in Israel. They were all murdered or expelled. But along 2,000 years, there are all the time Jews that are living here.
In the land of Israel.
And the majority of them are living in Tzfat, Tiberias, of course, Jerusalem and Hebron. Okay? Again, the moment that one proclaimed that they were here, they have indigenous rights, there is even no one coin that they can show. One stone with writing on it. One piece of paper. In Jerusalem is not being mentioned in the Quran, even no once.
And in the Bible, how many times in the Bible?
In the Bible, it was more than 650 times.
Doesn't it say somewhere in the Quran that that area belongs to the Jews?
Yeah, Muhammad even said that.
There are different places that Bnei Israel are the owners of this land.
Bnei is the plural.
Bnei Israel.
Yeah.
Bnei Israel, it means that the 12 tribes. So even the tribes of Judea and Benjamin are part of the 12 tribes. So what's your deal? To go back into the history of those families that are finding themselves here, then you see that there are economical developments that are happening here. If one starts to see statistically who was here the last 200 years, and the complex is starting to gain a momentum in the last 200 years, you could see that in around the year 1810 to 1830, there were Egyptian rulers that tried to capture this area, and they moved a lot of falachis. Falachis, these are land workers. These are people that are related to agriculture. And they moved here 10,000, 15,000, not more than that.
Egyptians, yeah.
And then there have been also, from the east side of the Jordan River, there have been few Bedouin tribes that had a need to move their camels and sheep and you name it in in the wet season to this area, and then they went to the other side. So these were nomads. But there is evidence of Mark Twain that was here in the middle of the 19th century.
Yeah.
And he is stating clearly that he was walking for days and he couldn't see nobody.
Where was he walking?
He most probably went to the area of Jerusalem, and there is a...
So why do you say
The
no?
main-
He didn't say nobody. How can it be that Jerusalem was empty? What do you do that?
No. Between the cities, he didn't see nobody.
Okay.
It was a bare, desolated land with hardly trees. It was next to nothing. He's writing it not in this word, but in different words. He's practically saying that it was next to nothing.
Mhm.
Now, in the French are starting to build the Suez Canal. The British are ending it. There is a need to move stuff there. The Turkish are here. They are bringing some people from outside to control this area for them, few thousands of Cherkessis. But again, we are talking about non-significant numbers. Okay, now the pogroms are starting in the end of the 19th century.
Where?
And Jews,
Where?
not from any colonial desires, but from desires of staying alive, that are coming here. Some of them are going to America, some of them are going to Argentina, some of them are coming here.
You mean the pogroms in Russia and Poland?
Europe.
Yeah, East Europe,
Right. Eastern-
Ukraine, Russia. And again, if you take the statistics of the numbers of people that are here, you're talking about 150, 160,000 people. I'm talking with you about the year 1900, okay? Around 1900. You're not talking about the whole narrative that they have been here in millions or in hundreds of thousands. It's fairy tale. Now, bear in mind the following thing. The British are here in 1917. There are Jews in Jerusalem. There are Muslims in Jerusalem.
How did they relate? How did they go together? They got along. What were they doing?
They do business with each other. They buy and sell to each other. They do not mingle with each other. The Jews are Jews. The Muslims are Muslims. And there are also Christians. Each community has its own... they are trying to survive. The moment that the British are owing this place, they owe also Jordan. They also owe Iraq. And they had their own policies where they wanted to help whoever might help them. And if they could use the Jews for their own politics or the Arabs, they would do it. Oil started to be discovered in Iraq, and then they are making a pipeline which is connecting Iraq to Haifa. And from there, with ships, they can take it to United Kingdom. And the Jews are taking their own money. Yes, we are also allowed to have money. And they buy land like anybody else. Because without land, you cannot have agriculture. And agriculture was at that time the main source of income. And also the Jews, we were organized and we collected money and we've been purchasing land. And if somebody does not like it, so would it be. We are also allowed to buy land to live somewhere.
Okay, how is that related to Jerusalem? How was that related?
So the Jews have been buying land in the east side of the Galil, in the valleys, south up to Tel Aviv. So kind of an N. So Galil, east of the Galil, the valleys, and the seashore. And Jerusalem, Muslims have been there Jews have been there. Christians have been there. At that time, there have been already 700,000 Muslims, 750, and about the same number of Jews.
And what year was this?
I'm talking about the year in 1947.
Oh, that goes
And
quick. I thought you were still in.
there is a partition plan. Now, Jordan is being given to the Hashemite kingdom. And historically wise, the Muslims cannot understand or comprehend or accept or even see in their worst dream that a conquered area by the Muslims would come in the hands of Jews.
Even though it was even though it was bought, the Jewish National Fund has also raised so much money in the last 150 years or so, right? And yeah.
This was for them historical mistake that happened,
Who's
which was aggravating the narratives of their Quran. They cannot accept it up to this very moment. The Jews have a right even to exist in Israel.
So what I would like to... Sorry, David. 1 second. What I have learned is that if there is a waqf, that is a law in Sharia law, in Muslim law, that when Arabs live somewhere, even though they conquered the country, which is of course the case in the past, then they have the right to keep it, and they should even pay with their lives if they would sell something of that piece. So that's kind of a historical claim and a religious claim, I would say, which consequences to the whole problem.
The moment that a religion is proclaiming that once they've been passing or once they have been in a place and then it is a Muslim land forever. And because of that, no peace treaty could come. And all kind of bullying narratives in order to make sure that you cannot survive here. Then I say to myself, go fix your rules, because we will not accept it. It shouldn't be there.
So how do you look at that they built a mosque on top of the mountain, the Temple Mountain, huh? The Temple Mountain. That is so generally accepted. People even don't hear what the Temple Mountain means. I think that is an extremely...
Look, in their narrative, their religion came to fix the miscomings of the Judaism and the miscoming of the Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
In their not that I give it a green light. They really have the feeling that they are upper level to any other religion in the world. Do I feel good with it? Not at all. Do I see that they respect us? Not at all. Do I like it as a Jew? No. No. We will never dare to build on a mosque a synagogue. No. Why? It belongs to you. Respect it. This is a place of worship, and please use it. Go there, be there.
It makes
God you, praise God that gave you this chance to go for it. But they don't see it this way. And each time that there was a will on the side of the Jews to come to an understanding, this very narrative in the religion halted them to continue further. And they came to the narratives of the Quran. And the narratives of the Quran is, let's be violent as possible, bullying, professional bullying, and make sure that whoever is there will understand that there is no way to address the situation, but a situation that they are the rulers of the place. And this will never happen. 1947, there are almost the same number of Jews and Arabs in Israel.
In Jerusalem or in Israel?
Israel. Now, the moment that the partition plan is being announced, the British had to leave because Israelis and also Arabs went against them. They couldn't sustain here, and they left. The British left. And then from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iraq, from Jordan, from Egypt, they attacked Israel, and they told clearly to the Muslim people here, please get out of there, go to other places outside of the land of Israel. We will, the military forces of those countries, we will capture Israel, and then you could come inside. We will wipe out the Jews to the sea, and then you will have more leisure, pleasure, and land. And
That's what they call today the Nakba, right? With a different version.
They can call it any Nakba, Kakba, Babka, whatever they want to call it. They were asked and requested by the military forces to get out of here because this was limiting their movements, their military movement.
Yeah.
And it is true. It is true. It is absolutely true that here and there have been Jews that understood that with Muslims, the rules that the Muslim have could be also a turning knife against the Muslims themselves. And if you are massacring Jews, you cannot be nice to the Muslims. I mean, it's not nice to say. And there have been also here and there situations that the Jews were fed up. And sorry, we are also people. And once you rape my daughter or rape my wife or rape my aunt or grandma, don't expect that I will be nice to you. Jews did not rape women. But the moment that they raped and they slaughtered, and they really slaughtered, I don't want to go to details of situations like they did in villages around Hebron. I don't want to go there, but they did atrocities that were not far away from whatever happened in October 7th. So they went into a war. They lost big time. They didn't have much support from the world that happened to see them in the gas chambers. And then they are coming with the narrative of Nakba, Kakba, Shakba, Nakba, I don't know what. Nakba was not existing. There was something else. In their perception, whatever they've been believing that should happen didn't happen. The Jews were not wiped to the sea. And then they were facing a situation where some of the Muslims, some of the Arab population went to Lebanon, remained there, went to Syria, remained there, went to Jordan, remained there, and went to Gaza and remained there. Okay? Sometimes if you lose, you've got to take the consequences. And this is exactly what happened. The whole story of the Nakba is another fairy tale. Okay, now the Jews that were in Morocco, in Algeria, in Libya, in Egypt, in Iraq, in Syria suffered. And if somebody has in his computer also Google, go Google it, Farhud in 1946, and see what they did to the Jews with swords. So if you are not nice Don't accept that we will have to give our throat to you, so you slaughter it. So you lost, and you lost again in 56, and you lost again in 67, and you lost again in 73, and you will continue and you will lose, because we are here to stay and eat it the way it is. Also, if the president of America needs to be re-elected again, you rape us, we are not so nice once you rape us. And if you cook our babies in ovens, don't expect that we will be nice. Sorry, we are not nice. And if somebody has other ideas in Europe about it, please communicate with me. I proclaim myself as the Minister of Education for the whole of the universe.
Okay.
And I can deal with any a person coming with all kind of ideas which are in the narratives of the, I don't know, high schools. If you want to live in the Middle East, take in consideration that there are here enough parties that would like to talk of peace with you. And if you want to have the whole peace from the Jordan River to the sea, then expect that nothing will happen. We provided you option after option after option after option, at least 6 times. Most probably during my lifetime, there will be another option. If you want to live with us, live with us. If you want to kill us, it will not happen. It is what it is, simple as that. And you can harm us, you can create havoc, you can do wrong, but look at the statistics. Okay, 50 years ago, there have been 3 million Jews here. Now we are land with 9.5 million. Most probably in 30 years, we will have here another 4, 5, 6, 7 million Jews. We know how to defend ourselves. Talk another talk, and we will have peace.
And I would like to add that from the 9.5 million, there are 2 million Arabs who, many of them say we would not want to live in a Palestinian state because we want to live in a democratic state. And a lot of people don't understand that, don't get that, don't know that there is even a Muslim in the Supreme Court, that the 30% of the doctors are original Israeli Arabs, let's call it that way. And pharmacists, a lot of Israeli Arabs are pharmacists, so they get freely to study like everywhere. And there's so much more to say about it, but I want to thank you very much, David. It is with your last word so clear how terrible the situation is. Not much hope for the future, because how can we trust ever again after the horrific slaughtering at October 7, which had been even denied by so many people in the world that don't want to know, don't want to see, and don't believe. So yes, we are in a very difficult moment in history. And I thank you very much for your information. And you know you have much more to share. And yeah, call too.
Thank you very much. I'm a person that tells things the way they are, and is not turning the point. I'm coming straight to the point. If you want a peace, make sure that there are ingredients that makes us and you relatively in a reasonable, peaceful way, that we will come to kind of an agreement. And if you would like to create anything else but havoc, expect the expectation that we are not nice to people that are not nice to us.
Beautiful last words, David. Take care and thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.